All right, the second half of this part one is the human life cycle. So if you remember, there are two roles of meiosis. One is to reduce the chromosome number. We're going to use meiosis and mitosis in the human life cycle. So you're going to have to see how these go together. So I'm just going to start at a particular place. You'll find this also in figure 9.2. The very first cell that comes about when sperm joins to form egg is called a zygote. This is the first cell that is diploid. Diploid will be represented by 2N. This means we are now back to having 46 chromosomes. So we are back to having all of our chromosomes again. In this portion, the zygote is going to be the first cell that will undergo mitosis. Remember, mitosis is for growth. So we will undergo mitosis, and we will start to develop lots and lots of cells. And eventually, we will grow up to be adults. So we will continue to go through mitosis. So remember, the role of mitosis is growth from a single cell to multicellularity. So we can see growth is happening here. Growth is going to continue until we get to be an adult. And then the second part of the second role of mitosis is replacement. So all of this time, we are developing our somatic cells. So your typical cell in the human body is called a somatic cell. So you're an adult and you're composed of tons and tons of somatic cells. At some point, however, you will develop gonads. I'm going to put 2 in here because you typically get 2 gonads. So gonads are going to contain cells that will undergo reproduction, which means that they are going to be the ones that undergo meiosis. Cells in here are what will undergo meiosis. Here is where we will develop the gametes. So the product of meiosis are going to be gametes, and they will have a reduced number of chromosomes. Remember, one of the roles of meiosis is to reduce the number of chromosomes. Each of these cells will start off with 46. At the end, that they will have 23. So after we go through meiosis, if your gonads are testes, these are male gonads, these will undergo meiosis, and they will produce sperm. And the sperm will be haploid, which means that they have 23 chromosomes. In females, you have the ovaries. Ovaries will also undergo meiosis. So meiosis is going to happen in the testes. Meiosis is going to happen in the ovaries. They will produce an egg. An egg is also haploid. It only has 23 chromosomes. So whenever you see N for something, N means something is haploid. Means it has the base number, 1 copy each. Whenever you see 2N, 2N means diploid. You have 2 copies of every chromosome. And then this is what will happen. This sperm and this egg, they will come together and they will form and join and create the zygote. This is why it's considered a cycle. We're going to keep going around. That new zygote will undergo mitosis, producing growth, producing more growth till we get an adult. At some point, some very specialized cells within that will undergo meiosis. If you're in the testes, they will produce sperm. If you're in the ovaries, they will produce eggs. We will reduce the number of chromosomes. Notice we went from 2n to n, and then n plus n becomes 2n. And that is what we call fertilization. When egg and sperm come back together, they are fertilized, they have had the union. We're now back to being a zygote.